Transportation is a very important component of logistics and a very important component of the supply chain as well. And it is hugely dependent on the cost of transportation, efficiency of transportation, and the certainty which should be there in the transportation in addition to the visibility. Now, railways as a mode of transportation is engaged in at least assuring not only the volumes of transport or the goods being transported, but also the transportation of goods in time in a most visible manner and with the least damages or losses to the materials and also at a right cost. During last couple of years, we have been talking about how to bring about greater visibility, consistency, reliability of the transportation, and also the cost of transportation by rail, and wherein railway can also have a greater modal share, right? So we have been working on these things, and of late we have seen or we have witnessed the big change in the strategy which railways have adopted for enhancing the modal share of the railways by undertaking major reforms in the freight structure itself. And they have paid very good results. And these initiatives are going to help the business in a big way in reducing their logistics cost, as well as in having a consistent and more reliable transportation by railways. I think in transportation sector, we do not look at one single milestone or next milestone. We are continuously looking at milestones in a way and going past every milestone, right? So yeah, but if I have to talk of a major milestone or a landmark, I think reduction in the logistics cost, maybe around 8% or less than 8%, which have been considered as relatively higher, especially for sectors like agriculture and the bulk goods, right? Wherein and for especially for this relatively shorter leads of 400 to 500 kilometers, for this the cost has been high, right? And the logistics cost or higher logistics cost is attributed to many factors, just not the transportation costs, but also the associated costs related to the terminal infrastructure or access to the terminal infrastructure or the fuel cost. So we are kind of changing in terms of the sourcing the fuel or type of fuel we use for transportation. We are also looking at enhancing the intermodal infrastructure or the terminal infrastructure to ensure a seamless intermodal transfer and a seamless multimodal transportation at a much lesser cost. And that makes a huge difference in terms of the logistics cost. So we can reduce the logistics cost as much as or to the extent we are able to attain the multimodality, mediated definitely by container-like equipments. वैसे ही जब बहुत सारे ideas and different ideas when they kind of get together, there's a synthesis which takes place. And synthesis can only lead to a kind of production of a quality thing, right? Whether it's an idea or a goods or a service in a way, right? So whatever product is able to be, is like emerging or can emerge, if it has to be of good quality, it has to be preceded by a good quality synthesis. And such conversations are the precursors of quality production. And especially for the supply chain sector, which has so many subsectors, so many components, so many players, and so many factors which determine its resilience, I think such conversation brings about that synthesis essentially required for getting solutions to the diverse problems. Because one person coming with a problem is also coming with a solution to somebody else's problem. So there's a convergence happening at such conversations and such events. So they bode well for kind of creating knowledge. And as I understand, Team Marksman is also engaged in research. So these or such conversations also leads to generation of knowledge, which can be used as an input for and conducting research, and again building better products. Indian Railways, as we are saying, we have started undertaking reforms, right? And this year alone, we have decided to undertake 52 reforms. Of the 52, 17 have already been undertaken. And yesterday only, our Honorable Minister launched about 8 new reforms, and they are generally focused on not only improving infrastructure and adopting technology, but also the way we do business, right? We are changing or transforming our business model itself, right? Wherein we have been hitherto concentrating on long lead bulk transportation through wagons. Now we are changing over to also transporting through containers, also transporting for shorter leads, and for that, removing all those stumbling blocks, right? Like a prohibitive rate structure, which has been discouraging the short lead transportation by railways, right? Now we have made it at par with maybe roadways and definitely reduce the rate for up to 500 kilometers by almost 25 to 30%, as I was alluding in my address. So that's a big change and a big, you can say, shift from the earlier business model to a newer business model. So and we are getting good results out of it. It has not been done just like an instant decision of some individual, but such a decision for undertaking this reform has been taken after an experimentation which has been done during the last 5-6 months, right? And during that that experiment, we have got wonderful results, right? I mean, the growth in under 500 kilometers to the extent of 100% in just 3 to 4 months. So, basis that experience and empiricism, we have decided to extend this reform rate structure or freight rate structure to all the commodities which are being carried by the railways. I think that may be the game changer and the biggest change you would realize maybe after 1 year's time.